Hi, I'm Richard with Hair for Hire. Today I have the opportunity to sit down with a very, very successful person in the beauty industry. She's a barber. She's probably the most successful barber here in Utah, Danny with Garrett Michael. We're gonna have the chance to talk to her, get really personal about how she turned selling jeans out of her car into the success story that it is today. So Danny, it's really an honor and a privilege to spend some time with you and get to know you.
Thanks, Richard. I'm very excited. Don't we have a story to tell?
We have a story to tell. Tell us what was your impression the first time we met and you were introduced or you were thinking about becoming a barber?
Well, it goes back to when I was living in Guatemala. And I found the barber school online. And I wanted old techniques. I didn't want to go to another school. I didn't want to go to a hair school. I wanted to go to barber school, and there were no barber schools. So that's actually how I found the barber school. And then I remember calling and actually speaking to you. You said, "Oh yeah, just come in. Just pop in." And I said, "I don't think you understand. I live in another country." And you said, "Oh yeah, well when you get here, just pop in." And I was thinking, he does not know I have to do all these things to try to get to Utah. So that was my first kind of experience. And I did not speak to anybody, but I ended up moving back to the US. And for a short time, I was in Florida. And then I made my way to Utah. And I think I was here 2 days, and then I came in and met you.
So as a single mom,
Yeah.
you were looking for a career. You're trying to figure out what's this going to look like. And you chose barbering.
I chose barbering. I was always fascinated with like the blade, the shaving. And since I'm going to be so forthcoming, I had told my parents that I wanted to do hair, men's hair, right out of high school. And I'm going to age myself. This is in 1988, 1989. And it was looked down upon. It was like, oh, I need to go to school. So I did go to school. But I found myself constantly thinking, I still want to be a barber. Like I was almost like scared to even say it. But I was living in Guatemala and I talked to my mom. I was going through a divorce and I told her, like, I still want to do this. And she said, why are you letting anyone, including me, hold you back? Do it. And I did. And I came, that's when I started. And I came to Utah. And then I met you in that front office. And I think that's when I realized like how hard my decision was going to be, because I did not have any funds to pay for school.
No.
And I had a little boy, and I just found myself really discouraged. But I remember, and my memory this is so many years ago, I remember I had to come up with $1,000 to be able to get my kit and all that. And I think there was maybe like 5-10 people at school. It was very few, but I met your dad, who I love. And we had a few conversations because I would pop in. I had, I think, 3 jobs plus taking care of my little boy. He was in 1st or 2nd grade. And I came up with $1,000, and then I came back in and I was like, here, like it was a moment for me because I had really lost everything in my divorce. So it was like I was starting over, and I was just about to turn 38 years old. So I was really emotionally in a bad place because I had lost everything that I had worked up towards, and I had lost anything financially that I had because I exchanged that for custody of my little boy. So I said, if there's one thing that Danny knows how to do, it's I know that I have my work ethic is what kind of was. I know I can outwork anybody. I might not know the skill, but I know that I can work harder than anybody.
Yeah. I remember it just being gut wrenching, working with you and trying to figure out a way to help you come into school.
Yeah.
And just knowing that you were willing to do it at all costs to make it happen.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I moved from another country to Utah just to go to school at the barber school. And it wasn't like I had a choice in winning or not winning or succeeding or not succeeding. It was, this is what I chose. and it was going to work. There wasn't a choice, really.
You had everything. Well, you had already lost everything.
I had already lost it
There
all.
was no the concept of failure. That at the time I was doing admissions and looking back,
Yeah.
there's so many people that come through and they just don't have that perspective because they might not have the means or something else, but you truly sacrificed everything to come to school. And then you had
I had a vision already.
your son
Yeah.
that was depending on you.
Yes.
And so there was no failure in you.
Yeah, it is. When you don't have the option of succeeding, you have to succeed, you do. And I think when it comes to when you really break it down, it's like, can I feed myself and my family? Pay my rent? When it comes down to like that raw, you will do anything to make it happen. And that is where I was. I had lost, in my divorce, I had lost it all. And we had means. I had lost it. And so I had a taste of success or income. I knew what that felt like, and I lost it. And that was devastating, but I knew I could get it back again on my terms. And that is the way that I saw barbering. And that is why I moved to Utah from another country, because I was like, I could see it. I was like, if it's up to me, it will happen. I knew I could depend on myself.
How do you think that prepared you for what was to come? So you got into school, but all that sacrifice, but it wasn't over. The battles were...
Well, school was hard for me. Like, school did not come easy for me. I know many people, like, it's maybe easy for them. It was very difficult for me. I struggled technically. I think I was natural in one thing, and that was shaving. But I just really, really struggled because I had come from more of a corporate setting. And so I wanted, like, there is an element when you learn how to barber that you need to flow. And I was not good at flowing at that point. Like, you can learn the techniques, but you're also working with a person. So there's just so many elements to it. And Mr. Height was really, really, really good with me. And I would just annoy him. Like, I want more attention. Give me more attention than anybody else. Like, I want this. I say, come over here, teach me something. I would just bug him. I think I drove him crazy. I mean, I was at him, but like I wouldn't leave him alone. But I knew there was, oh, this is a story I have to tell you. There was one time when I went to school, and I don't know if it was in the morning or when it was, but he was by himself, and a man just left. And there were a few $100s, like $200 bills. And I looked at the money, and he said, "That's possible, Danny."
Oh, so this is a client that he had.
It is,
Like,
what? Yeah,
The hours.
pre-hour.
Yeah, before the school had opened,
Yes,
he had
and
a come in.
yes, he had a client come in, and I walked in, and I saw the money, and I looked at him, and he said, "It's possible," and I was like, "Okay." He's like, "It's possible," and I just needed. I believe what the school gave me at that time was hope that I needed, because I didn't have like a lot of support. I don't really have a like didn't have that like emotional support. So I feel like just the idea that it was possible was like just like a carrot, you know. But I knew that I was not good technically at that time. I needed to grow my technical skill, but I also knew that I was very good with people. So as I grew technically, as you do by just doing more haircuts, it started to integrate. And then I started to flow. And then in school, I started making so much money in tips that I was able to quit one of my part-time jobs. And so it was very humbling for me, coming from what I had to going all the way to the bottom financially, like almost thinking like, wow, I made $60 in tips. It was a very humbling experience for me, because I had it and then I lost it, and I was starting over with a child. So,
And it's totally unknown territory.
and I'm in a state that I've never been to before. Yeah.
You mentioned that you kind of had a corporate background,
Yes.
business background.
Yeah,
How did that help you as you became a barber? Do you think that became an advantage to you
absolutely.
down the road? Talk about that.
100%. Structure. systems, processes, because every business has systems, processes. Okay, if you do A, B, and C, it's going to equal D. And that is how my mind was trained. If I do this, I'm going to have this. It's not really an option, or I'm not going to not do it. It's just what you have to do to get those results. So it was like very, very structured. I mean, everything from like HR to like how do you communicate with other people? All of those rules, if you will, were already kind of set in place. So that's how my mind was used to thinking. And I was able, because I had that background, that part of it was very easy for me. And I really believe that that's kind of missing. That's a missing piece for many people, because they focus more so on the art form, if you will, or it is really kind of a connection of both. You need both. You need both to succeed, but you can't do run a business without the systems and processes. And then you can't do barbering without knowing the technical aspect. So there's the two things that you need.
So how did you learn to marry people? How did you know to have the right balance of the two?
Well, I think it just takes time. It takes time. Well, I came out of school, and then I had my first job in barbering. And I need to tell you, this is really important. Okay, right now it's 26. When I was out of school, haircuts were $13. Okay, so we need to talk about that a little bit. So I'm out of school. I'm used to like a more structured environment, making really good money, to going to barber school and coming out of school, and haircuts are $13 and I make $7 and I think 49 cents, just say $7.50 as a 38-year-old woman with a family. That doesn't set right. That's not going to work.
Did you feel like you had made a bad choice at that point?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I said, what did I do with myself? Why? Because I struggled through school. I think it took me a year to get through school. And I got out and I was like, this is it. This is what I sacrificed for. This is why I came back to the US to do this.
Well, and I remember during that time, you were selling jeans out of the trunk of your car.
Yeah.
To make ends meet.
Yes.
You were hustling any way possible.
I was hustling. I had met this man, I believe his name was Nick, and actually Gary, it was Gary. I met Gary and he was a barber in Las Vegas. And he was hired when I was doing the haircuts for $13. And he had a skill in a way about him, and I attached myself to him. And I said, tell me everything I'm doing wrong. He said, you need to shut up. That's what he said. He was very blunt, and he said, you just need to shut up. He said, Jenny, people already like you, because I was trying so hard for people to like me as a barber, because I was like, well, if my skill isn't on point, well, at least they'll like me. And he said, Danny, people already like you, but you're making them late. So you need to learn about time management. So that's what Gary taught me. He taught me about time management behind the chair, and that if I just do the basic things, they're already going to like me. And he said, you cannot force anybody to like you or not like you, but you can't have one and then they need to be equal, right? So you can't have no skill set and people really like you and get return clients. So that's what Gary taught me. Gary taught me about time management. And then I taught Gary about customer service. So we would have no clients. In the wintertime, we'd put our hats on. I had this top hat and I would stand outside of the shop downtown. And everyone that walked by, I would say, hey, come on in. I'll give you a complimentary neck shave. Like this is how we brought people. I still have those clients today. And this is on $13 haircuts, and that's certainly not what I charge today. So clients will grow with you. This is the other thing. Clients will grow with you as long as they see the value.
So expand on that a little bit more. So that doesn't mean necessarily they'll move with you when your prices go up. It's part of it. But expand on that. I think that's a really critical piece, that how they will grow with you. What does that mean?
Well, you have to show them the value. You can't just raise your prices because your neighbor did, or the barbershop across the city did, which is what most people do. They said, oh, well, say they're charging $40. Oh, well, this barbershop now charges $55 or this charges $85 or whatever it is. They do it, it's like they're chasing something, but it has nothing to do with what your neighbor's doing. It has to do with your client base. It has to do with adding value to yourself so that people grow with you. People will not grow with you if they do not see the value.
Because most people are afraid they raise their prices, they're going to lose a lot of their clients. They're
Yeah.
afraid that they won't grow with them.
Yeah.
What did you do then to ensure that happened?
Well, you have to be at my number for when myself and my shop, when I had my shop, was you had to be at 83% full. Your utilization had to be consistently at 83%, 80 to 83%. When you hit that number and you don't raise your prices, you are literally watching money walk out the door, because you can lose 20 to 30% of your clientele when you raise that price. And so you have to do it logically. You can't just like make a number up, which I know most people do. They just pull it out of thin air. So it's really important to, when you do raise prices, is to do it in a way that makes sense. And then when you're mentoring people, you can't just raise a price just because they're nice to people or they give a really great fade. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. It has to do with your utilization. So your coworkers and your staff, they need to know, what is my utilization? Like, most people that I talk to in my industry do not even know what that word means, which is scary because that's how you grow in business. So understanding that business portion is essential to growing. You have to know.
How would somebody, a new barber that's coming in today,
Yeah.
what's the easiest way to track their utilization?
Well, you have an app or whatever system you're using, or you need to bug your owner, like where am I at? And you need to track that for yourself. Like, if you have, just say, I don't know, off the top of my head, 50 openings for the week, and you were only doing 25 services, your utilization is 50%. So what are you going to do to get it to 80% so you can raise your price? So that's how I've done it all these years, is you bring someone in at a lower price point, you show clients the value, and when they get to that 80, 83%, you move them up. 75 to 80% of those clients will grow with them. Then those people that are at the bottom that are like, hey, I really want to stay in this entry level price, you have somebody in your back pocket that you're ready to bring into your shop. So that's how I've grown the business. It works, I would say, 100% of the time.
So this is an interesting time that was happening in Utah.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a race to see who could charge the most, right?
That was an interesting time.
You what did you say they were when you graduated, the price of a haircut?
$13.
$13. And it was like the goal was to see who could become the most expensive.
Yes.
How did you avoid then the temptation to raise your prices just because everybody else is doing it?
Well, that was an interesting time. And at that time, I went from a small shop, like a small mom and pop shop, standing room only. I believe we're at maybe $25 to $35 a haircut, into the big, beautiful shop, which is what we have now and that I've sold now. But not everybody came with. But my focus was not to take clients from other barbershops. My focus was to show clients, like, hey, you can have a salon experience in a barbershop. And so there are so many factors there. We opened up, I believe, at a $15 increase from the old shop. I believe that's what it is. That's what it was. And there was absolutely no bump in the road. So I knew I had made a mistake. I should have gone 20 higher. But I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I still have new barbers. And at this point, we had one price for a shave, one price for a haircut, and one price for a beard service. So we did not have different opportunities to, say, pull in a college student. And we can talk about that more. But that's where I was at that time. And we were still utilized in the 80%. So within 8 months, I raised prices again, but I would never raise a price until the whole shop, most of the busy barbers, were at that marker, because you're going to grow them and then they're going to be sitting around. And my experience is that you do not want a barber who's just sitting around.
No.
You do that creates some stuff, you know. You don't want that. That creates some problems. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
They want to eventually, what happens to them?
Well, if you do not create a roadmap for a barber, they will leave. And then the second part of that is that that's normal. Like, people need to realize, and owners need to realize, that your goal, and this took me a hot minute, this was a really difficult thing for me, is the investment into your barbers, right? And I wanted to hang on to that, right? It's kind of like, if I invest in the stock market, I want my money out of it, right? And it's not, and I'm not just looking at, I'm not saying, oh, they're a dollar, but it is a financial investment that you're making in these people, and you want that return. And then you have the emotional aspect of it, because then you get attached to them, they get attached to you. A goal for an owner is to grow that person so that they can really run your shop. You have to give a barber a roadmap, or else they're going to leave you as soon as they get busy. If you don't show them what's possible in your space, they're going to go open their own. Why wouldn't they?
Okay, so two things with that.
Mm-hmm.
They get busy, and if there's not a plan, they leave. But what if you have a barber, you brought somebody on and not busy?
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
Well, you have to, here's the thing. If a barber isn't busy, and this is the harsh reality that a lot of people don't want to accept, it's either two things. It's either their personality or their skill set. So you have to revisit those two. It's either one. It falls in one of two categories, and you need to revisit that. So if it's skill set, okay, let's work on it. Let me show you. You need to have a path and a way for them to adjust. We cannot change each other's personality. We just can't. So it's very important to hire the right people for your type of shop, right? So if I have like a turn and burn fade shop, okay, great. I need to hire people that want to cut express services, right? If I have a luxury gentleman's spot that I'm cutting at a 45-minute, sometimes an hour, I need to find people for that environment. Both environments are equally as awesome, but you need to hire for that environment. You never want to bring somebody in that wants to change what you built your business on. And I've struggled with that. I've had that happen many times.
So I like to say there's no wrong way. It depends on what you want. You chose to do a high-end clientele, right? To make a lot of money. And
Yes.
some people might choose something different.
Yes.
What are the different options then that people can take? I feel like barbers want to make a ton of money,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't necessarily want to choose the road that's going to get them there.
Great. This is a can of worms. Yeah, that's a great question. I did choose luxury. I fit with luxury. My personality fits with that. I know that road. I know that client. It is very difficult to teach people luxury services. I don't know if I would do it again. It was an uphill climb. I made the climb, but it's much harder to charge a lot of money for haircuts because you need to meet that. Like that client expectation, you need to not only hit it, but you need to rise above it every single time, because people will pay for very expensive barber services, which is what I do.
Now, just let me interject there. Give us what's your ticket price now? Like what do you mean by a high ticket value?
Well, here's the thing. Let me go back to before I sold my barbershop. I had one price, and I was like, this is not working for entry-level barbers. This is not working because I'm asking a lot from a person just out of school to cut, say, at an $80 price point with gratuity. It's just say $80, right? How, like, the person is like a deer in the headlights. So what I did is I created an apprentice price. So for the first year or two, they're, say, cutting at a $35 price point, when the rest of the shop, so they can pull in college students, so they can pull in lower price points and then allow those clients to grow, right? So I found it very difficult to have one price point. I then changed to, we had actually up to 5. That's too many. That's too many options. So then I went back down to 3 options. So I want to talk a little bit about Danny as a solo barber, because that's very different than running a business. So as a solo barber in my own barber shop, I always charge the most amount of money. And I want to say this with grace. It's not because I was the best hair cutter. It's because I knew how to perform, and that means technical services, client services, perform to catch those clients. And so for not only would I give them the service, but I would rise above it every single time. And if people believe that there are not clients out there that are willing to pay you $250 for a haircut like yours, they're fooling themselves. And it takes consistent effort to do that. Like, if I showed up in a sweatshirt, and not that a sweatshirt is bad, and jeans and sneakers, I will not be filling that role that my clients want to experience. I had a client, I don't need or want new clients. I still have a handful. He found me through a friend. And I said, how did you find me? It was a referral. And he said, Danny, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, there isn't a price that I will not pay to have this kind of service. So what that says to me is, if I create the environment, I create the experience along with the technical skill, because I didn't get where I am today by not having additional education. He's like, it doesn't matter to me, because that's how valuable it is. He's receding in the front. There's a way to he wants to have the confidence. And that's what he gets from a $250 haircut.
So, gosh, we could dwell on. There's so many things we could talk about that. What are they paying for? Generally, I like to talk about, right? You buy a t-shirt at a concert. You're not buying the t-shirt. It's the cheapest t-shirt out there. You're buying the experience.
You are buying the experience.
Well, yeah, that's $250 haircut.
Mm-hmm.
What are they getting? What do they think they're getting? What's the whole package?
Well, you have to back up a little bit, because before the client even walks in, they have an expectation. They've seen you online. They have an idea. They have a referral. Was it professional? Was it speed? What was it? They have a idea of what the shop is. Garrett Michael was the name of my business. So what Garrett Michael was, they have this idea. So when they come in, I'll give you another example. I had a coffee machine, and then I had snacks. Well, one time I forgot to buy extra snacks, and we ran out of snacks in the middle of the day, and a client came in and said, where's the snacks? Okay, he's coming to get a haircut, and he's saying, hey, Danny, where's the snacks? I messaged him later, and I said, hey, I'm so sorry about that, but that alone, not having those snacks, took away from his experience. Now, he's still a client of mine, but I'm using that as an example.
He noticed.
He noticed.
Noticed it was missing.
He noticed that it was missing. Clients will notice how dirty your baseboards are. Clients will notice your dress, your shoes. How you take care of yourself is what you're going to offer to the client. So when you have a high ticket client, which is my client, they notice everything. They will notice if something's a mess. They will notice if something's out of place. They will notice a new photo. They will notice if I got my hair cut. They notice these types of things. Now, a client that's gonna pay me $20 for a haircut is just looking for speed. And that's equally as valuable. It's just a different type of client. So you have to recognize those differences. And then not only give them what they want, but exceed that every single time. So I'm always adding something, like I'll add an espresso machine, or I'll add, like, for example, when we don't use any paper in the shop, or I don't use any paper, everything is cloth. So in my services, when a cloth neck strip is put on, it's warm. It's warm. So that is part of the experience, is that it is a warm neck strip. And when I tell you, people notice, if it is not warm, it better be warm. I had 2 fly-in clients yesterday, and they notice if it is not warm.
So these are people that flew in specifically to see.
Yeah, they do business here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do business.
They make sure you're part of their.
Yes. Yes, so they do business here, and so we plan it around their meetings, or the meetings around the haircut, vice versa. And I make sure that I am available for these clients. For 2 clients, that is, I don't have to work 8 hours. I can work 2 hours and have extra time. So for me, putting in that effort, 2 clients versus an 8 or 9 hour day, for me, that's the client base that I want. That's what I want to experience. Here's another piece that I feel like a lot of people miss. I cannot express to you how much I learned from these men. Like, when I tell you I'm connected, I am connected. What they offer me at this point in my career, at this point, I've sold the business, we can talk about that, but at this point in my career, it's a choice whether I come into work, which is a great place to be. I've earned that. I come in, one of them said to me, Danny, why are you even still cutting my hair? I said, it's what I get from you. It's not the money anymore. It's not the money, it's the value. You teach me, I get to pick your brain. So people will pay him X amount of dollars to spend time with him, and I get it for free. He's paying me.
A seat at the table.
Front row. I'm not gonna say what team or what sport it is, but I cut an owner of a sports team. And he will remain anonymous because he does not want to be known. It's a very simple haircut. In barber terms, it would be, quote, a number 3 and a little off the top and a taper in the back. And so he comes in, it's very consistent. That's the other thing, consistency. I can guarantee my income with these guys. I can guarantee my income because they're all Reebok, because they need to look a certain way all the time. What I get from this man is endless business advice. I get to pick his mind. I had another client the other day. His name is Patrick. And he said, Danny, you need to, when you sell the business, watch out for this pitfall. When you do this, watch out for that. And so I asked him, I said, may I text you if I have a question? He said, yeah, I have another attorney. He said, yeah, I'll help you draft anything up. Like, my Rolodex, if you will, my virtual Rolodex is, I could just pluck it out and make a call. So that alone makes me feel like I won the lottery, honestly, through barbering.
Far more value than the money.
That's something that I didn't expect. I've had a lot of unexpected benefits from this career. And that, I would say, would be the one that I did not anticipate, is how much I get out from the conversation from a client. And my Rolodex is huge because of that. Yeah.
You brought it, you said, am I connected? I am connected.
I am connected.
The benefits that you get from that
are
I
huge.
don't think we can even put a number on that.
Yeah. So I got a text, and it said, someone is here in Utah to do an event and needs his haircut for the event. And so then looped him in, and he's a pretty big deal. Hey, Danny, can you come and do my hair and beard? I have this event. This is a speaking event in Utah. He was here just for that time. And I didn't even hesitate, nor did I give him a price. And that's something we can talk about. I did not give this person a price. I said, I will be there. Give me what works for you. And told me the time. I was there and brought my little tiny mobile station that didn't have much, but I picked his brain, and I said, I really respect you. I follow you on social media, and I would love for you to give me the harshest, most critical feedback that you can give me. And he did it. Like, he said, do this, do this, do this, don't do this, don't do this. He took a look at my social media. He gave me feedback after that. And I said, can I, we took a photo. I said, well, should I post a photo? Like, I got a little nervous. And he said, I'll do better than that. So he went live.
Oh, he did?
He went live. And he went live after I cut his hair, or while I was cutting his hair, and he gave me a shout out, so that was really cool. And then in that live, he was talking about like business strategies, and he kind of used me as an example. So yeah, it was really great. So I didn't tell him a price, and we got to the end, and I said, he asked me, he said, "All right, girl, what do I owe you?" And I said, "Well, whatever it was worth to you." And he gave me $800. So that was for hair and beard. And then, of course, I drove there and drove back. It was like maybe 45 minutes to an hour from my house. But that's the other thing. It's the convenience. Because he could have probably gone anywhere, like in the city. But for him, it was about his time. His time was so valuable. Plus, he had 30 people with him. So, and he didn't want to go and like be a walk-in, and he wanted a guarantee. He wanted a guarantee that this service was going to be nailed because he's on camera. So that's the other part of it. I didn't want to give him a number because I was like, what is this value to you? And then he said to me, "Well played." That's what he said. Yeah, he said,
Okay, that's it.
"Well played." That's what he said. He goes, "Well played." Yeah. So he said, "Listen, I'm not going to," it was nighttime. And so he walked me to the car, and he helped me get my stuff in my car. And he said, he was walking away, he goes, "Hey, Danny, well played." And it made me feel good. It made me feel good. And I was a little nervous around him, I'll be honest. Because I follow him and I like listen to his advice and business stuff. So I was a little nervous. Yeah. But it was good. It worked out really well.
The Rolodex that he has
It's huge.
gave him access to
Yeah.
you, though.
So I picked up 3 more clients.
But because
that.
of who you know,
Yes.
you got brought into a circle that from the outside you would never have a prayer to get into.
Absolutely not.
Person
Absolutely not.
did it.
Yes. So I got 3 more clients from that. And it's not that I'm seeking more clients at this point in my career, but what I am seeking is I want to be in that circle. That's the circle I want to be. I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I want to be the person with the least amount of money so that I can learn from all of these other people. And I think that's oftentimes a missing component in barbering, is that you don't want to be the best in your barbershop. You want to be in a place where you're continuing to learn. Like, if you're the best in your barbershop, you need additional education. That's when I learn the most. I always say, when I'm the poorest and I'm the dumbest in the room, I'm in the best position because I'm going to learn. And so I just have access to all of these people.
That's really profound. That's a really profound statement.
Yeah.
I struggle because we have barbers specifically that they're really good at one haircut.
Sure.
But if I were to walk in there, they couldn't do my haircut. You're not going to give me a bald fade or something. No guards with my hair. And so they're stuck.
Yes.
And but they think that they've reached the top.
Yeah, and you have to be well-versed. Guards, no guards, you have to be able to do both. I believe that you have to be able to do both. I can do your hair with a guard. I can do your hair without a guard. You have to be well-versed in everything and good at a few things. Like, I'm talking above average in a few things, but you have to be able to do all of it. Example, I don't shave. I don't do this. Well,
Barbers that say that.
yes, I won't do this. Well, if you are not at that level yet, you can't say that. Now, when you get to a level where you're turning clients away and you want to only do razor haircuts, I'll just use that as an example. Great, because you've built that. But you're actually missing out on so many opportunities when you say no right from the beginning. You need to be able to do all of them. And there's so much education. There's education online. We're just in a different time. Like, you can spend $50 and have a class on razor cutting. Everybody's an educator now. We can talk about that, but it is so important to continue to educate, or you're just going to stay plateaued. I see a lot of barbers plateauing, and they're plateauing because they get just settle. And then you see the same clients have the same conversation. It gets boring. So you need to add some spice into it by taking a class, taking a shave class, taking a business class, talking to your accountant. Like, all of these things there's no excuse now because everything's online. There's absolutely no excuse to not be successful. Like,
So could that be a reason why you would lose people? That you're not bettering yourself? You said the client generally could get bored and they, right? If you're not elevating your skills, then they kind of go, hey,
on both sides of the chair,
I'm gonna
the
see-
person in the chair and the person behind the chair. If you're not continuing your education, a client, do you know how excited a client gets when you tell them that you're going to California to learn this skill? It might not be a skill that is going to be used on them. They're excited for you. They're like, wait, what? My barbershop's going to California to learn how to do a technique? Dang, that's a big deal. When you boost yourself up like that, it shows the client your value. I mean, if I'm going to do a skill set and I have no education, but I'm going to try to pawn it off for a $75 haircut, but I don't know what I'm doing, clients can sniff that out. Like, they know. They know.
Because from a consumer, right? I don't cut hair.
Yeah.
But if I can't have a conversation that if my barber can't relate to me,
Yes.
I'm probably not going to stick around. And so
Correct.
I wanna-
You'll go once or twice, but
educated in certain, like I love the business and some things like that. But if the barber has no concept about basic things, then it's something
you're losing
you
out.
have to endure and bring out of there because
Yeah.
it's not an enjoyable experience.
Everyone has different interests. We have to recognize that, right? You might like sports, you might like business, whatever it is. But as a barber behind the chair, it is essential. And this is how I described it for all the years when I had my shop, is you're like a bouncy ball. Like, you have to be able to roll on that ball and be able to have a conversation about all of these topics. Me personally, I don't watch sports, but I know what's going on. I know who's in the World Series. I know who is, doing well in football. Like, I know a little bit about golf. Now, am I a golfer? No, but I'm relatable. I have a little bit of information. The other piece of this, men's fashion. We need to know what is in the magazines. What is going on? What is the next trend for 2026? A lot of people believe that they will set the trend. No, the trends are already set, right? That's a false narrative in someone's head. The trends are already set. So as a barber, we need to know, oh, this is coming. This is a style, like this is going to fit the shape of your head. Cutting to the texture of the hair, the shape of the head, understanding shapes, understanding shading is all part of that technical skill. You have to continue to learn, but it's also part of that ball. Like, you need to be able to hit on every single thing. So if I have a billionaire come and sit in my chair, then I have a college student come sit in my chair, I'm relatable to both. And that is the key to a successful barber and a quality technical skill.
I think that one of the stigmas of a barber, and you want a fashion-friendly haircut, you're not getting from a barbershop, bro.
I think it's changing.
Because they kind of just do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
For a long time, they were known for just really short hair, a flat top, and that's all they could ever do.
Yes.
But to even use a brush
Or blow dryer.
or any of that stuff, you're not going to a barber.
Correct.
So when did you decide that was a skill set you were going to have?
I polled my clients. I asked questions. I don't have the answers, but my clients do. What do you want? And then you give it to them. So I started polling clients in 2014. I would send out, it was like MailChimp or something like that back in the day. Or maybe that still exists, I don't know. But I would ask questions. Would you like a shampoo? And then it would have a little area, why? Would you like a nose wax? Would you like coloring? Would you like your hair styled? Would you be willing to pay for it? How much in this, option 1, 2, and 3, how much would you be willing to pay for it? So that's how I started. I just asked questions.
No guessing.
There's no guessing, right? If I always did what I thought, I would be out of business. I'd like to use the example of music. I was born in 1971, so like my heyday was like Paula Abdul and Jennifer Lopez kind of vibe, right? Or Milli Vanilli. Okay, I'm aging myself, but I'm using this as an example. Okay, so say somebody's favorite music is, I don't know, a hip hop genre. But my favorite is like the 80s, like pop music. I have never played 80s pop music in my barbershop. I play what is for my clients, not what is for me. And that alone, when you run your business based on what your clients want, not what you want, you're going to get results, because you're filling the need because you asked them what it was. So when I started introducing blow dry, full style, teaching you how to style your hair at home and introduce the shampoo bowl, my prices raised because it costs more to run a business. It costs shampoo. But at the same time, we're increasing our value. So we weren't pulling clients from other barbershops. We were pulling clients from salons. That is, if you just ask questions, your clients will direct you and tell you. They will actually, you will be surprised at what they tell you. I'm still surprised.
So what were they not getting at the salon that you were able to give them?
The technical skill. The most of it was the taper at the time. So I'm dating myself back, but the whole experience, like this all applies even in 2026, because at that time, a sheer haircut with a nice taper, the neck shave, that is essential. For a man wants a neck shave. He will pay for that. He wants a scented hot towel. He will pay for that. So it's giving clients, and I'll throw myself under the bus a little bit. I said, I will never have color in my barbershop. I was against it. Well, guess what? When I just sold my barbershop, we have a full color menu, and it is one of the greatest decisions I ever made. So not being open to something that you might not like will stunt your growth.
Someone like me that has gray, starting with gray, right? Some gray blending or something like that.
Yeah.
How that would be.
And the best way to grow your clientele is through your current clients. It's like if you were my client and we would just talk about it, and I would bring it up and plant seeds. I would plant seeds like, hey, Richard, how often do you shave? Talk to me about this. Oh, I had this. Oh, well, next time, if you're interested, let's book a shave. It's, can you shave at home? 100%, but this is like a luxury service that you can give yourself for your birthday. But planting seeds with clients and growing your business that way, that's the best way. And then they're friends. Like if you have a client that you really jive with and you really like, invite their friends. Hey, bring your friend next time. And you don't need a discount. We can talk about that. You don't need a discount.
Did you ever do the friends and family discount?
I do not do friends and family discount. I do not do friends.
Tell me about the issues. I agree with that 100%. From your perspective, what were the issues? What are the issues with the friends?
Well, you're my friend. I've known you for a really long time. And if you needed a haircut, I would charge you for the haircut. Because I believe that as my friend, you see my value. And if you don't, that's okay. I only want people in my chair that see my value. And just like anyone who has additional schooling, or say is a dentist, they have to go to school for so many years, and their friends and family are, oh, can you pull my tooth for a discount? No, right? Because I paid all this money to go to school, and here I am. The answer is no. Just like other barbers giving other barbers cuts and all that, I do not subscribe to the idea of trade. I don't subscribe to the idea of discounting, because it diminishes my value as a professional. 100%.
Some do it because they lack the confidence.
Yes.
That says, I'm worth it.
Yes. Yes. So say, for example, someone books what would be considered a full service experience at a barbershop, a full service haircut, which is like a shampoo, deep condition, blow dry style, haircut, hot towel, neck shave. That would be considered a full service haircut. So I heard this a few months ago, and it boggled my mind. So the client said, hey, Dave, we'll just say Dave was the barber. I am in a hurry. I have a meeting. I have to get back to the office. So just go ahead and skip the haircut. So barber goes up to the desk or the checkout area, and he says, without the client saying anything, says, oh yeah, I'm just gonna take it $10 off because you didn't get that hair wash. So what that did is that invited that client, every time he doesn't get a wash, to not, it's like if I order a Big Mac and I say, hey, don't put the pickles and onions on it, they're not going to discount the Big Mac. And so I see a lot of that. So that is hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars over time. If people kept track of that, to see how much money they're just putting in the garbage can.
So in the beginning, you brought up the whole point that you were really trying to get people to like you.
Yes,
You want to
yes.
feel,
As a new barber, yes.
and I feel like that's the same thing.
Yeah, it's insecurity.
They're discounting because they want people to like them. They want people to say, "Oh wow, you're
Yes.
such a nice person." Instead,
Yes, when they don't need to, right? Like I don't need to talk to them for 20 minutes to ask about everything in their life for them to rebook with me, right? That was an insecurity that I had. But it really comes down to insecurity. But how do you not have insecurity? Well, you add value to yourself. And this is going to be a very funny analogy, but I like to think about it as dating. So like when you're dating, you have to add value to yourself so that the other person sees the value. You don't go up to the other person and say, look at my value, look at my value, look at my value. Oh, look at how good I am at this. You just are valuable. And so that is the difference. It's like the flower and the bee. Barbers need to be the flower. They just need to add value. They need to add value to their soil so they can grow, instead of saying, look at me, look at this haircut. People will come, the right people will come when you add value to yourself.
Would you say that the look at me thing might be social media?
I think social media is essential right now. I think it's essential. I think if you are not active on social media, you're going to be last in the race.
so how do you use social media as a way to bring people without, like you said, you've got to be the flower that attracts the bee, right? Without pointing out, look, I'm valuable.
Yes.
How do you get people to see your value?
You show them who you are. You show them and you invite them into your life, into your chair. You invite them without inviting them. You show them the experience. You show them the haircut. You show them, and then they come. One of the things that is critical is showing your skill set. So you can set up a camera and while you're cutting hair, edit it that night and pull a 3-second clip, put it to some music, and not say, oh, I have availability. But this guy, John, like you can tell a story. Storytelling is key on social media, but show them. And so you can put that in your stories. You can save your stories. So when a potential client comes through and they go like this, that's what I want. That's the barber I want. It's that simple.
And then they click on it because you said, I have spots open. They saw that you were the expert.
Absolutely. You have to show people your value, and you need to pretend to be the person that you want to be. Like, even if you have to pretend, that's okay because you're becoming that person. And even in my own life, I'm in a new stage of my life, and I'll share. I have some digital products coming out, and one of them is a piece of exercise equipment, and another is kind of a 10-step shave process. So it's like an exercise, but it's a digital download, okay? So I am offering a lot of content right now that is just educational and free. So when my digital products hit, I already have that 180 days built up. So when my digital products come out that are at a low price point, thousands and thousands and thousands of people can buy my digital download, but I'm giving and I'm showing them my value. Like I've already been on social media 6 times today, and that was before 3 o'clock. So showing people, I'm not saying buy my product, I'm just saying this is who I am, and I don't have to be anybody else. That's the other thing. You don't have to be anybody else, but show people who you are becoming and be that person. Show up as that person.
You've already demonstrated that you're the expert in the room.
Absolutely.
You have something to offer. They're ready to sign up.
Yeah, they're ready to sign up. They're just like, here you go. Here you go. Yeah. And this is the thing. It's like treating your barber career as a career, not as a hobby. If you're doing it as a hobby, that's okay. But if you're doing it for your career, you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, you want to do all these things, you have to treat it as such. I've always treated my career, even in school, or what I do, barbering, as a career. This is the path that I was going to go down. I remember back in the day when I was sitting in your office when I first got back to the US, and I told you about this barbershop that was in California. I don't even remember the name of it, but in my eyes, I was like, that is the pinnacle. If I could just have that, I will have reached the stars. And there was the shave brand that I was like, if I could shave like that, if I could be like this Italian barber, if I could do that, I would have made it. So it was a couple years in, I took a trip to California and I went to that barber shop. I have never been so disappointed. I walked in, barbers just sitting in their chairs, no one was in the shop, and they go, hey. And I went, hey. I was like so excited to go there. I bought a t-shirt. I was just excited. Nobody really talked to me. And I came back and I said, not only can I do this, but I can go to the sky. Because if this is what I'm competing with, and that was like the best brand at the time, and they had a product line, I just thought, if this is my competition, there is no competition. And so all you have to be is a little bit better. And it's okay not to know all of this stuff. Even when you go into business ownership, you don't have to know it all. You just have to have access to the right people and continually ask for feedback. That's the thing. I want feedback. If I want to ask every single person feedback. Now, whether I take it or not, that's my decision. But being teachable is absolutely critical for a new barber or an owner. Be teachable. Be willing to take hits.
Because you've got somebody that they think that they're being professional. They don't realize that they're doing what a hobbyist would do. But they think, oh, because they've never reached anything high in their life, they've never had any success, they've never had success modeled. How would you help somebody that thinks they're at the top to realize, boy, you're just getting started?
Well, you can't. Here's the thing. The person has to be ready and teachable. So they have to hit that and be willing for it, right? I have a business coach, right? If I go to my business coach and I'm like, I know everything, you don't need to teach me nothing, even though I hired you, even though that's why I'm in your shop, but I know it all, I'm gonna stay where I'm at. I'm never gonna grow. So it really is an individual thing. I cannot lead someone into a room that they don't want to be in. And it's just as simple as that. So those people that do want to be willing to go and be led by someone else into that room, those are the people who are going to make all the money. Those are the people.
That's really good. What are then signs of a hobbyist versus signs of somebody that this is their profession? This means everything.
Have you ever walked into a salon, barbershop, nail place? You just know. When I walk in I'm very, very particular about my personal services. I want to pay. Never judge a client's wallet by what you think. That is a big, big, big mistake. I had a 19-year-old the other day, gave me $200 to give him a sheer haircut and a neck shave. Never judge a client's wallet. When you walk into a beauty service, a barbershop, hair salon, whatever it is, you can immediately tell just based on a few things. Body language, the way they're dressed, their own personal grooming. I won't personally say, I don't know about you, but I've gone into places and left without a service because I wasn't comfortable, because I want my stylist to look a certain way. Like if I'm going to spend that much money to get my hair cut, I have an expectation of them not being in sweatpants, which I see a lot. And it breaks my heart because if they just put a little bit more effort in, it would financially on the other end really pay off for them.
I interview a lot of people. I haven't had the chance to walk in cold turkey
Okay.
and say, hey, real quick, can I ask you a few questions? And they'll be working with somebody.
Sure.
And the first thing out of their mouth is, oh, I'm not dressed good enough.
Yes.
And I think if you're not dressed for a client, when do you dress up?
Yes.
So,
all right. This is a big one for me. The way that I show respect to my clients is in the way that I'm dressed. That is how I show respect to my clients. I feel as though I'm disrespecting my clients if I am not dressed. And I'm not saying you have to have a full makeup on, but Cody Sanchez, everybody knows Cody Sanchez. Especially as a woman, you have so many advantages. Makeup, nails, like as a female barber, if you are not at the top, you're missing a few things. There's very few things that you can do to set yourself apart, even from a male barber. And I'm talking like quality things. I'm not talking cheap things, but it's the way in which you hold yourself. And that oftentimes has to be taught. I've taught a lot of female barbers, like, if you do this instead of this, I say, don't take my word for it. Why don't you test it out? So one day dress this way, see how you do. And one day dress this way and get your nails done and see what your results are. And I've done this with many, many female barbers that I've done an apprenticeship with. And one of the lady barbers said to me, I cannot believe how many of my clients complimented me on my nails. And it wasn't like, they were trying to ask her out or anything. It was just, she noticed that they noticed. So I have a rule in my shop, you do not have chipped nails. Either it's completely gone or they're painted. And why would you not want to take care of yourself and show the best version of yourself to your client?
That's what our industry is.
Yes, we're in the fashion business. So that's essential. And I see kind of a decline there. I see a decline in the professionalism. I polled clients talking about that. I polled clients about appearance and what they thought.
Okay.
And we used to wear vests at one point. We used to wear smocks at another point. We used to wear aprons at another point. And so I polled clients, and hands down, the client said one thing above all, smocks. They appreciate the professionalism of a white coat or a black coat. Hands down, they will always say the same thing. Clients also like to face the mirror. So I ask clients, do you care whether the chair is spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, or facing this way or facing this way or facing this way? It drives barber clients crazy when the chair is spinning around. So we use our mirror as a tool, but we also need to be aware of how the client feels. Like, the clients are spinning around and round, they're going back, they're going this way. They don't like that. So if you have this information, use it to your advantage to raise the quality of your service. Yes, do I need to move the chair to check the side of the haircut? I do, but it's just for a moment and then I bring them back. It also helps with client connection when you face the mirror. So clients will tell you all of this information if you're just willing to listen.
That's fascinating that all of this stuff you're not guessing. Because when I interview people, they all just say, and even people 25 years in the business or more, and they still don't know why they do this.
Yes.
It's guessing. They
Well,
have no concept.
That's why they need a mentor. Everyone needs a mentor. I needed a mentor at every stage in my barber career and still do. There was a time when I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm making money. I don't really need anything. And guess what? I suffered because of that. Everyone needs a mentor, wherever they are. My mentors have mentors. So you have to be willing to be mentored, and you have to find them, and you have to invest in yourself.
Yep. Spend some money.
And spend some money.
What's been the benefit to you to have a mentor?
Priceless, really. I mean, I'll take it all the way back to when I was in barber school. Your dad was my mentor. I looked up to him with like stars in my eyes, and especially after that client walked out and I was early, and he said, Danny, that's possible. He was my mentor at that time. I was going to school and I watched and I asked him, will you teach me more? And you know what he said? No. And I said, why not? He said, you're not ready. I went back after school. It was a year and a half after, and I said, will you teach me? He said, yes. I said, why? He said, because you're ready. Timing is essential. You have to be willing to not know everything. Having mentors in my life, I just had a one-on-one coaching in 2025. And our first conversation, she said, tell me the 5 things that you do not have that you want. I said, I want to sell my business for a profit. Okay, what else? I said, I want to lose weight because I'm not taking care of myself, and some other things. And she said, well, this is what I can guarantee you. If you want it, it can happen, but you're going to have to climb the mountain. So I just want to know, are you willing to climb the mountain? And I said, oh, I'm willing. I'll go crawling if I need to, but that's what I need. I need to release the barbershop. I was able to not only hit my goals, but hit them prior to the year. And so having a target and a focus, but also be willing to flex and bend during that process, and be willing to kind of suffer a little bit. You have to be willing for that. And I met every single one of my goals and more. And finance and money was a big part of that, right? So like I had some numbers that I wanted to hit, and I was able to hit them because I was accountable to myself, but I had a person. I had a person that we have calls once, twice a week. I still talk to her. I was out in California with her. She lives in California. I didn't even know her. I found her on Instagram. I literally found her on Instagram, and she sold her salon. And I said, how did you do it? And she sent me this thing, and she said, let's have a call. And now I get to help other people do the same thing. So for me, it's like what I learn, I can pass on through mentorship, and I can pass that knowledge on. I paid for her knowledge. Everybody has to pay their own way. That is essential to people being accountable to themselves.
Let's go back to the early days.
Okay.
When did you decide that you wanted to be not just a barber, but you wanted to be the best? You wanted to be on the highest level that Danny could possibly be.
I saw some opportunity, and it presented itself to me, and I said, this is my ticket. And I was not going to settle for just the average. And for me, that included a lot of things, but a big portion of that was financially. I knew that I had an opportunity to not just make a little bit of money, but to make a lot of money. And it took me from 2012 to 2016 to kind of get my feet wet in the industry, to get my technical skills kind of honed. So it takes that long. It does take that much time to kind of get those reps in behind the chair. It takes a few years, but in 2016, the city was growing, City Creek was up, and opportunity was there. And I said, I can own this. I can own the luxury market. And I saw it, and I just said, I can't not do this because clients want it, and it doesn't exist. It does not exist. Luxury barbering does not exist in Utah at this time. And so pulled the clients, they wanted all these things, and they were willing to pay for it. Off we went.
But you felt an obligation to do it.
Why would I not? Why would I not? Unless I was too scared. I guess there could have been a time, and I did a lot of things scared. You still have to do it, and do it scared. I had spent my entire life savings building the shop. So this is in 2017. Entire life savings, just my granite countertop was in the cabinets were half of my savings account. And I said, I'm going all in. You have to be willing to go all in to get those results. You have to be willing to put it all on the line for the sake of your future self. And that's what I did 2016 and 2017 when I built out the shop. I put it all on the line.
Think of all the value. How did you change? How did you affect the lives of your clients during all of this that was happening? Because you only became the person you are because you gave value.
I have a client that comes from Jackson Hole or Jackson. And I said, why do you wait until you have a meeting to get your hair cut at my barber shop. And this is what he told me. I can't find it anywhere else. We gave clients what they couldn't find anywhere else. And it was simple stuff, but it was consistent. No matter what, I know he doesn't drink coffee. His name's Jeremy. I know he doesn't drink coffee. Every single time he came in, I said, hey, Jeremy, can I make you an espresso? Can I get you a Coke? What can I get you to drink? I'm good, Danny. He's still my client and I still ask him that, but it's the consistency. It's the consistency and it is the knowing that they're going to be taken care of and if they can't find it anywhere else. That's what I call the special, like the Lego movie, the special. Give your clients the special. And I wanted the special for myself. I wanted to do something for myself. I had something inside of me that was not going to be happy unless I had a certain amount of money in my bank account. Just wasn't. Now I'm at this level, now I have a new number. And then when I get there, I'm going to have a new number. So the mountain really is endless, but you have to make that decision. You have to say, do I want to find the special in myself? Do I want to challenge myself or do I just want to be every day? And a lot of people do. You need those people. We need those people. And that's okay. But if you have the will and the drive inside of you, like my new owner, he has the drive. I see the drive in him. He doesn't know what it is, but I see it and he knows that I see it. And he'll go places because he has the special.
You provide an amazing service, but that service is more than just a haircut. What specifically are you giving those clients?
It's not just about the haircut. A client can get this haircut probably in many barber shops, but it's how they feel when they leave. If they're not telling me that they feel like $1 million when they leave, I haven't done my job. And they know that they're gonna have that consistent haircut in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. They know what they're gonna leave with before they even walk in the door. It's kind of like that idea of McDonald's, right? I do not like McDonald's, but on a rare occasion, I will go and have a breakfast sandwich. Why? Because I know what it's gonna taste like. That is the secret sauce. It's that consistency, but I'm selling them image, I'm selling them style, I'm selling them fashion and confidence and consistency. And they already know the outcome. I mean, this is after a few haircuts, but they already know the outcome. So they know, here's something guys say, don't scalp me, right? Right, don't scalp me. So listen to what they say. So if when someone comes in, they know I'm not gonna scalp them, of course, right? So do you know how much that is worth when a client knows that they're going to leave with an outcome that they already have in their head? That's the value.
When you have someone that flies here on a private plane to do business,
Sure.
and you're giving them confidence, you can only imagine what they're able to achieve with that level of confidence that you give them.
Yes, it's the confidence. They already know what their haircut's going to look like because I've cut their hair before, right? So it's if they have a meeting. So this is common for me now, right? They fly in, they come in, they get the haircut, I shave their neck or do their beard or whatever the service is, and then they go directly to a meeting. So because they don't have a lot of time to waste. They know what they're going to look like when they go into that meeting. Let's talk about recession, okay? This is a topic that we talk about a lot, recession. So we wear it, say, forward, okay? They don't want their bald spots to show, right? So that's a topic of conversation. Well, I'm going to cut it in a manner that hides their recession. So it's knowing that they're going to walk out looking and feeling like $1 million, and I don't waste their time. Like, I don't want to talk about Danny. That's the other thing. You have to be super cautious about oversharing behind the chair. This is something I battled with. I'm just like a natural chatter, but I don't want to talk about myself. I want to talk about them. When you meet someone, this is just kind of psychology 101, and people say, oh, I felt so connected to that person. The person that felt connected usually did most of the talking.
So you're a really good listener.
Yes, I would say I am. And I had to learn that skill set because I'm a natural chatter. this. Then I'll share a little bit about myself, but I think it's really, really important to wait until people ask. There's also a way to redirect the conversation if you do not want to share. I'll give you an example. Hey, Downey, where do you live? I do not say Bountiful, Utah. I say, oh, up north. I keep it very general, and that's really, really important, especially if they're asking too much information. And you want to keep that boundary there. I have a boundary. Even though my clients have my personal phone number, they can contact me. I have a boundary there, and that boundary is not crossed. So I keep it very general and light, and then redirect. Oh, I live up north. What about you? That's what I teach, or I've taught over the past. It's the ping pong. Oh, did you go on vacation this summer? Or did you do anything this summer? Oh yeah, I went over to Europe, or just something like that. What about you? So you want to keep your client talking while you're working. That's essential, especially for time management.
So as a female barber, you talked about the importance of having boundaries. What's it like being a female barber in a world that's dominated by male barbers?
Well, I think it's changed over the years. I think in 2026, here we are. I think it's different now. I think female barbers are widely accepted in barbershops and sometimes preferred. I think back 10 plus years ago, you would not see a female barber. It just wasn't, I feel like the barber craze wasn't, like 15 years ago, it just didn't exist. So when you had a female barber coming in, it was a little bit of like, hey, this is a little brotherhood. This girl with the suit doesn't fit in, which was my experience. And then I just moved on, and then I was like, I have to open my own because it doesn't exist. I want to wear a suit like to work. That's what I want to do. And I don't fit in when everybody else is not looking like that. And so for me, I actually took it and used it to my advantage. I use all of that to my advantage. And I think that is kind of in the beginning what separated me.
I've always felt like female barbers had an advantage. Would you say that female barbers make more money than their?
I've owned a shop, so I've seen the numbers. I would say it's easier for a female barber to build their books compared to a male barber, but after that, it's pretty much equal. I believe that there is a preference, just like a massage therapist, there's a preference between male and female, and we cannot ignore this. This is what I like to talk about, especially when I have new barbers, is we cannot ignore the fact that there is a difference between a male barber and a female barber because we're not the same sex. So we just need to acknowledge that and say, okay, and then say if you're a female and you have unwanted attention, which has happened, you need to know your boundaries in advance. That is absolutely key. You need to know those boundaries in advance, and you have to know how to redirect questions. And a question that will come up, well, what do I say, Danny? Like, what do I say? And you say, I cut your hair. I'm your barber. This is a professional relationship. And leave it at that. And 99.9% of the time, it works. And the other piece of this is that you also cannot date your clients. So there's that aspect of it too. I've had to let a barber go because of the serial dating with clients. And guess who lost those clients? My shop lost those clients. She's moved on, but I lost 6 clients.
We've talked a bit about your shop, and you've your transition, and you created this thing, this absolutely amazing thing. I want to be vulnerable with you as far as some numbers.
Sure.
Let's give those that are watching an idea. What did you accomplish here?
The amount of money that you make is completely up to you. It is up to the individual. So I don't know very many careers that you can say, hey, you're an engineer, you're an engineer, you're an engineer, and you're an engineer, and you can make as much money as you want. I don't know any job that's like this except for the beauty industry. And so the sky is really the limit. When I first began my career, I started at the $13, went up to $25 when I opened my shop, which was like just a huge scandal that I opened at $25. And that first year that I was cutting hair, many, many, many years ago, I made $88,000 just because I showed up. And that was my pretty much the second or year and a half after I graduated from school. So my skill set was not honed in at this point. But it was just the showing up that mattered because people wanted these services. Then I graduated into building a team. And that's a whole nother skill set, is that building a team. And so I believe that in order to achieve some real numbers, you're not going to get it in a booth rent situation as an owner, okay? As a commission stylist or a commission barber, you can actually do better than booth rent because you don't have those expenses. So I want to take like the mystery out of that a little bit, and people can talk about the percentage or the commission, but 100% of zero is still zero, right? And so I can pay somebody a 30%, 37% commission at a higher ticket, and they're still going to make more money than a commission barber making 50% on a lower haircut. So we need to look beyond those numbers. We need to look beyond 37% or beyond 50% and really see what it's really all about. What is the price of the haircut? And then on top of that, so I believe that a barber should make 70 to 75% of the ticket if you have a good owner. And how you do that is making sure that that gratuity is there, whether it's built into the haircut, whether you have gratuity or you don't have gratuity, it has to be built into the ticket. And you have to show the barber the roadmap to success. So I'm starting here, but I know I can reach that. And that is essential to showing somebody the pathway. But real numbers, we can talk about, my whole goal was I want to make $1 million. If I can make $1 million, I've hit it. And then when I made $1 million, I was like, this is easy. What am I doing? I can double this number. So my end game was not necessarily to cut hair behind that chair until I was 90 years old. That was not my goal. I did not want to do that. For me, I had my sights set on some real estate. So I was investing in my barbers. I was investing in the shop. I was telling people who we are. This is who Garrett Michael is. I'm going to show you what we are. They came in. I was able to build careers, which is something that was really important to me, and be very, very, very mindful of my investing, being mindful of my spending, being mindful of my taxes, being mindful of where this money is going. And because I had that cash flow with the barbershop, I was able to start investing in real estate. And that's what I did. But it is not without sacrifice. It is not without sacrifice. I wanted to be in a place of abundance. And you cannot make decisions when you cannot make good decisions when you do not have the mindset of abundance. If you make decisions in scarcity, you're just gonna get lack, and lack. So my end game was commercial property. And I wanted to be able to have passive income. I wanted to be able to pay less taxes, right? Passive income versus earned income, there's two different tax, right? You're gonna pay different taxes. So knowledge is everything. I did not want to have swollen feet, miss my son's, baseball games because I was behind the chair. Did that happen? It did. That is something I regret. I regret missing things that I should have been there for. And I adjusted and I made those mistakes. I recognized those. And I said, okay, I'm going to pivot and adjust, raise my prices because I can, and work a half a day less so I can make all these things with my family or, whatever it was.
From the eyes of a barber that's maybe been working a couple years,
Sure.
what's the biggest struggle with their scarcity mindset that you see?
Thinking they know it all, not being professional, not keeping track of their books, looking at it as artwork, which I think is something that this is the key. Barbering is a business. And we cannot forget that barbering is a business. This is not a fun and games. This is not go hang out with your friends. This is a business. And so we need to treat it like a business. But fear and not knowing. So then you're just scared and then you make bad decisions or shop hopping. That is a red flag. If shop hopping, an owner is not going to invest in you if you've worked in 10 shops. in 3 years. That is not an investment that an owner is going to want to make to see your career. That information is always going to stay with the barber.
What other kind of tips like that could you give somebody that's looking to be hired or wants to get into a new shop? What are advantages that they could have that will make them stand out?
Being teachable. If the barber is teachable, I will open up and share it all. But this is valuable information. So being teachable, being moldable, and also too, giving value to the barbershop. Showing up on time, kind of all these basic things. Showing up for meetings. If you have a complaint, maybe fix the problem, and when you have the complaint, say, hey, this is what I see, but hey, I think this can fix it. What do you think? 99.9% of the time, the owner is going to say, do that. Thank you so much. Make yourself valuable in the shop. Be the first one there. Be the last one to leave. Don't leave the shop when you don't have clients. It's very, very basic things. If you as a professional do not withhold your own standards of your schedule, you cannot expect a client to do that either. So if I tell you that I'm going to be there on this day and this day between these hours, that is when you need to be there. That's when you need to be at work, whether you have anyone or you don't have anyone. But when you don't have anyone, I had a cancellation, like a crazy cancellation, a crazy situation. No problem. I went into the other part of my studio, and guess what I did? I worked on social media. So you can take that time to invest in your business. Take that time to make a month's worth of content and have it scheduled so it just shoots out automatically, because we all know we have bazillion photos of our haircuts in our phone. So you can really use that time. Learn about, men's fashion or like a technique. There's so much free content, especially on YouTube. It is endless. Like you can learn some pretty valuable skills just from Instagram reels or things like that, but invest in yourself. Take that time. Don't waste it.
The barber would say, but Danny, I'm an appointment only barber. So I'm not there because I don't have any appointments, but I don't take walk-ins. Just say to that.
I like to be in my studio. I enjoy being in my studio. Take the time to disinfect it. Like that just to me is a little bit of a red flag that maybe you are doing the wrong thing, because why is it that you don't want to be there so much? I love my studio space. I want to be there. I don't really understand that. I think that is something that I will probably never understand.
I remember Mr. Height always saying, the minute you leave is when they're going to show up. So be where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
That's what he would always say.
Also too, I don't work holidays. I don't work this. I don't work that. I don't work this. Well, if I said all of those things, I would not be where I am. Be flexible. If you're having lunch and someone walks in, put your sandwich down. Go take care of that client, because guess what? That client could be with you for another 25 years. And so there's a lot of missed opportunity is what I would say to that. A lot of missed opportunity by just doing what you say that you're going to do.
I was at a barber shop just yesterday, and a gentleman came in and he said, hey, he was toting a big bunch of luggage, and he says, by any chance, is there somebody I could squeeze in and get an appointment? Now, mind you, there were 4 barbers sitting doing nothing. And right out of the gate, nobody said, oh, not a problem. They waited, they hemmed and hawed, and they said, well, let me go look. And in my mind, I was thinking, nobody's cutting hair. How could you possibly not, right out of the gate, just say absolutely? But they weren't interested in making sure that this man was taken care of. It just shocked me, because they weren't, right out of the gate, the guy had to sit there and wait to see, even though nobody had a client.
Yeah. I like to push back with that and say, let's just talk about social media for a second. That same person who was sitting out, that barber, and when I say push back, I want to give another perspective to the person listening to this. On social media, if something does not grab your attention, swipe up. It's 3 seconds. It's 5 seconds. Not taking care of that client, that urgency needs to be there. As quick as you are engaging on your phone, it has to be that fast. Yes, my name is Danny. I'm going to take care of you. Absolutely. Even if I had a client coming in that situation and he walks in, even if I have a VIP client, 100%, thank you for coming in. How did you hear about us? Let me give you a Coke. Can I get you a Coke? Can I make a cup of coffee? I think making them feel welcomed right off the bat, even if all the barbers were busy.
So this is actually kind of exciting for me, because if you're a new and upcoming person, the level's not very high for you to.
Correct.
Right?
Totally. I agree completely. It's not that hard.
Danny, you were taught by probably one of the best educators that you could have at that time, right? My father, he was world-renowned master barber, but yet you still went and got additional training. Talk to us about the importance of getting continuing education, about learning, and always having that attitude of never stop.
Never stop learning and never stop investing in yourself is really key to becoming like the best version of yourself. When I had even continuing education after I got out of school, because I hounded your dad, he taught me a technique that is really not learned anywhere else. And I have taught it to very few people. And I keep it special for special people. He taught me and mentored me kind of through some rough patches as well. And he told me, keep going, keep showing up. I did those things and then I needed more. So I said, well, I really need to learn a little bit more in this area. And that was styling and blow drying. So I found this group of people in the UK and I thought, wow, they have something that I don't know about. Styling, and they're 30-minute cutters and giving these insane, beautiful haircuts. I said, this I need to know. I'm not able to do all of that in that time frame. So I learned from them. But I took business courses. I took an accounting course. I just continuing to add value to myself so that as I grew, my clients could grow with me. And it's just even now I'm continuing to grow. I have another mentor that I just hired that's going to cost me a significant amount of money, but what I'm going to get out of that is going to help to take me to the next level. So I really believe if you don't have additional education, whether it's mentorship or technical skills, you're just missing out. You're just not going to rise as quickly as other people who do that investment.
All right, Danny, you've experienced some tremendous success. What does the future look like for you? Tell us, first of all, this past year, what you've done.
Okay.
And then what the future holds for you.
Yeah. This past year has been a tremendous, I've had tremendous growth this year. And I'm kind of stammering over my words because I get a little emotional about it because I was able to hit all the targets that I wanted to hit. And one of those targets was selling the business. And to sell a hair business is not easy because you need to, well, there's a lot of reasons, but it's difficult because a potential owner can just buy some chairs, buy a back bar, and set up shop. So the culture of the business is essentially what I sold. On the flip side of that, I won twice because I'm also the owner of the building. And so starting out where I started out and being where I am today it's just a contrast. Was it all worth it? Yes, it was. But I really needed to release myself from ownership because I'm just not in that space anymore. And so I was able to do that. I have a new owner. I sold the business and I'm just in this new season of mentoring others, mentoring business owners. I have a community call every Wednesday at 4:00, mostly entrepreneurs. It's a raw hour and a half where we go deep. We do not sit on the surface. These are people who are doers and achievers, and I'm particular about my time. They pay for this call, and if they didn't pay for it, it wouldn't be worth it. and we go deep because one person wants to hit a couple $1 million in their business. I have an owner of a bug company, a female entrepreneur, female CEO that owns a bug company, international bug company, and she's in my group. And so we meet weekly to feed on each other, to help each other. Hey, I'm struggling with this. We have kind of a basic premises I teach. I basically give a 20-minute lesson, and then I open it up to the floor, and whatever speaks to that person, we share. We are raw. We are committed to each other. We're not friends. We're not business associates. We are just entrepreneurs or people. I have a chef on there, and these are people we want more. One person is in the process of losing weight, and that is what they're focused on. They already have a business, but they're like, this is the one area that I'm still struggling with. And so they want to do it. They want more. And so our theme of 2026 is we're going deep. We're going to that place that you cannot reach the bottom. And that is a very scary place to be, when you don't know what's around you and you're deep in the ocean, but you can't touch the floor. You don't know what's happening. The only time you can truly grow is when you go deep and you do not know. And so for me, my future is helping other people. I have digital products coming out. I'm really excited about that. My family has grown. I'm going to travel a little bit, and I want to help others, but in a way that is not, I'm not in front of people every day. I'm a phone call away. I can mentor other people.
Okay, Danny, so here's a hard question. What has scared you as you dive and you go deep?
Yep.
What scares you that you found out about yourself for 2026?
I still hold on to some fear that I'm not good enough. And that is from a long time ago. But even though I've achieved, I have all the things, I have the money, I bought the houses, the cars, all the things, and I got there, there is this little side of me that says, guess what? You're not good enough. And so controlling that, how I control that is I invest in myself every single morning. I really believe that being an entrepreneur, at least for me, has been very spiritual, and losing weight even has been spiritual for me. But owning what I can and doing the best that I can and being very, very, very dedicated to myself in the morning. I learn something every day. I teach something every day. I read the Bible every single day. I give and feed to myself so that I don't walk into my day like a dog on its back. And that is what I learned in 2025, is that I used to walk into my day not having the armor on so that I could handle things. I was walking into my day, not scarcity, but not as prepared as I could be, because I wasn't taking that time for myself in the morning. I wasn't getting settled in myself, so that this came up. The plumbing died. The washing machine died. This person didn't show up to work. This is happening. We have this unexpected bill. Whatever that was, I would be more reactive to it. Now I'm settled. I'm settled because I've invested this hour of myself. This is like my power hour, that I can walk in and be like, everything's good, no matter what, like Wonder Woman. like Wonder Woman, you got that? You got that? You know, it's almost like that. I'm at this level now, and it happened very quickly. Like, I got some really, really raw feedback from my coach, and it hurt me, but I signed up for it. I paid her a lot of money to tell me the truth. And she said, you're reactive. What? I'm not reactive. She said, this bothers you and you're reactive to it. So why are you reactive to it? Because you're not prepared. But I learned how to be prepared. The less I was prepared, the more reactive I was. Like, I would take it personally. I used to take when people would leave personally. For me to change my heart posture towards them was to say, thanks for being with me. I'm here for you in the future, whatever that means. But instead, I wanted to cling. I wanted to tighten up. And to grow, you need to loosen up. So those are some major things that I learned in 2025 about myself, you know, and being open to feedback for myself. I'm starting to do a lot of stuff on social media, improving my speaking ability, not saying every 3 seconds, and having someone tell you that you look angry on camera, like taking that feedback, whatever that is, and pivoting, right?
Nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to know that, but guess what? We need to go deep and we need to be uncomfortable in order to grow. I want to hit $1 million with my digital products, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in 2026. I want to write a book. I want to do all of these things, and I'm going to go deep. I can't, these are unimaginable goals that I have. But a year ago, I had unimaginable goals and I hit them. And so we have to go deep. We have to take criticism, and we have to use that criticism to jet us forward. And that is one of the biggest lessons that my dad taught me when I used to mow lawns. My dad was a truck driver, and he was ashamed of it. Very smart man. And so I wanted to work with him. And he said, oh no, you can't go to work with me. And he was a long distance truck driver. And he said, well, you can shovel snow, make like the $10 here and there. I said, okay. I'm 12 or 13 years old. And he married my mom in California, moved us to Maine, and we had a house, we had dinner every night, like things I never had. So he's a significant part of my life. His name is Rick. And he bought me a lawnmower when I was 13. And he said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. He made this business plan. And I was like, ooh, a business plan. Okay. We opened a bank account. We had an LLC. It's called R&D Lawn Service. And he said, okay, we're gonna do this, and all the lawns are gonna be the same price. And I was like, okay, I'm like a little dog, like, okay, dad. Like I just looked up to him, like he just knew so much. And so he said, well, you're not gonna like me. You're not gonna like me. I said, no, tell me, teach me. So I think all the lawns were like $20, $25, no matter the size, big lawn, small lawn. So of course all the big lawns were wanting us. So he said, we're really busy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some commercial properties. And I was like, okay, how do we do that? So we didn't have computers back then. We didn't have the internet back then. So he had me type up a letter and go to all these business accounts. And so a week later, he said, I need you to put your best outfit on, and then you're gonna walk up to the door. And here's the crucial part that changed my life. There was the biggest account, and he wanted this account because we started earning income from this business. So I had this like purple suit on, and he's like, you're gonna walk up there. And I said, I'm so scared. And he said, do it scared. Go up there and do it scared. And I'm like, but what? And he goes, you asked for the manager. I said, okay. So I went up and I asked for the manager. I'm like probably 14 and a half at this point. And so I walked in and I had a copy of the letter and I asked for the manager. And guess what? I got the account. So I came out and right before I was like to go in, I had a tear. And he's like, nope, you do it scared. So I got the account, came back, I had a little piece of paper and it was like, woo! So we were able to get a bigger lawnmower. But what my dad taught me is my dad taught me the power of rejection. And he said, you know how many times you're gonna be rejected? You're gonna be rejected by maybe guys you wanna date. You're gonna be rejected by this. He was like, it means nothing. So that is the biggest lesson in being an entrepreneur, is that you do it scared. You do it anyway. And that has always stuck with me, that idea of this little girl in her purple suit going into this Vulcan Electric place, like, and him do it scared. Like he was a visionary. Like I really looked up to him. So that business was a profitable business. And I saw what I could do while all my friends were going to the beach and like going on trips and going on this. He said, oh no, I have to work. You're gonna mow the lawns. He said, you're not gonna go to the beach, but guess what? I was able to pay for my college all by myself. So what I got out of that, mowing lawns, was not about lawns, was not about landscaping. It was about learning about rejection. It was about looking to my dad as like, he knew better than I did, right? If it was up to me, I would have never gone to that place. So those are valuable lessons that you have to do things scared.
Danny, you have to understand, and I think you do, that you're a gift to the world. Everything that you've done, you've built this amazing success story that you have. And I know your son, the way you've been able to bless your family, but the dozens and dozens and dozens of barbers that you've lifted, that you've elevated in this process, those lives will forever be changed. And now going forward, as you get to consult with other people that are in the same boat, scared, with a tear running down their cheek, and you get to help them. You get to navigate, help them walk through it and get to the other side. And that is an absolute gift that you're giving back to the world. It's been an honor and a privilege to spend time with you, and to call you my friend.
Yeah.
Is to watch you grow. I think we've both grown tremendously over the years, but to see what you've accomplished, even though the odds said, no way. You were the one. You were the one, and I don't think that anybody has come close to duplicating what you've built.
I just want to take just a second and let you know how much your family has meant to me and how much Mr. Height and just that time was so critical for me. I was a fragile girl back then. I was very fragile. I was newly divorced. I had nothing. And that the school, the experience, the hope that this career gave me, I knew I could do it, but I needed that. So your family has been like critical for my job. I have a photo of your dad here. And so I just want to say thank you for being my friend. And all these years have passed. So I just appreciate you. I appreciate how you kind of challenge people and that you challenge their ideas and you say, hey, wait a minute, what about this? And my hope, and I don't know who's going to be on Instagram clicking through this, but this career can give you so much. It can elevate your family. It can be a stepping stone. It can be a forever career. Whatever you want it to be, this career can get you there. And so thank you for the time, and thank you for appreciating and allowing me to share my story, because it means a lot to me, right? It means a lot to my family. So thank you so much. It is everything. It is everything. And I think too, me helping and coaching barbers, and they might make decisions that I wouldn't make, and that hurts me sometimes, because like almost like a parent, you're like, ooh, that's a bad road to go down this road. It hurts me sometimes, but what I learned is that each individual person has their own road, and all I can do is support when they're ready to learn. So yeah, barbering just has a special place just in my heart, and it always will.
What a wonderful opportunity that this has been, to actually listen to an expert on why and how she ran her business to be successful, more successful than her peers in those other shops that are around her. Remember, this is a place where we get to help you learn these beauty tools. Hair for Hire is a community built only for beauty professionals just like you. Hair for Hire is the beauty industry's money and career app. We help people get better jobs, sell out classes, and connect with their community so they can earn more than they ever thought possible. Hit the link below in our bio. Join the Hair for Hire community and set up your free profile today. I'm Richard Height. We'll see you on the next one.